I am a fan of getting started on time. There's about 35 minutes of content, and then we're going to have 10 minutes for questions and answers a little bit later. So I see we have some minibar legends in the room, some familiar faces. And I've been to minibar a number of times. This is my second time speaking at the conference. And although this is a little bit off the beaten track for the general topic of minibar, I find that a lot of people are really interested in travel and travel hacking and things like that. So this is the second time doing this presentation at this conference. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Hurd, and what I do professionally is I write about credit cards, travel rewards, travel loyalty programs for about everywhere that you might have seen content published on that. So if you are into travel rewards, travel hacking, you have probably seen something that I have written. There is at least a 3-digit number of things that I've published with places like Time, Wall Street Journal, The Points Guy, Forbes, everywhere that publishes stuff like this. So, and I wanted to come and share this with you all. So I designed this presentation as a 101 session. So if you don't know anything about travel hacking, you don't know anything about loyalty programs, that is okay. We're going to define some terms. If you're already into this space, a lot of this information might be duplicating what you already know. But hopefully you can get some value out of some of the sweet spots that I have used and some of the things that I have done to kind of improve my own travel. So where are we going today? First, we're going to define what is travel hacking. We're going to do a really quick check on what's possible and have a discussion about what is realistic versus what is marketing hype in this space. We're going to cover the basics of what travel hacking is and how you do it. We're going to talk about what programs you should care about to get the types of travel rewards that you find interesting and that you value. We'll talk a little bit about how to get started, and then we should have about 10 minutes for final notes and questions at the end of the session. So what is travel hacking? Travel hacking is how I've been able to travel all over the world in business and first class, staying in luxury hotel suites. It's also how I've been able to travel to a lot of interesting places off the beaten track for not so much money. And what we are talking about today is not technical. It is using airline, hotel, and bank loyalty programs to travel for cheap. Now, if you haven't heard of loyalty programs before, it might be worthwhile to explain a little bit about what those are. Now, these are programs like frequent flyer programs. Delta SkyMiles is one example. You can earn points toward travel that can earn points for flying that you can earn you free travel with Delta Airlines. Many hotel chains also have loyalty programs. So these are programs like Marriott Bonvoy, which awards points that can be used for hotel stays. This also includes bank programs like Chase Ultimate Rewards, which rewards you points that you can transfer to airline and hotel partners. But all of these have something in common, and these loyalty programs are there to incentivize you to become a more profitable customer for the companies. Now, when you think about loyalty programs, everybody has a loyalty program. If you shop at Target, you use the Target app to get 1% back on all your purchases. If you go to any coffee store, you can probably get your 10th latte for free by punching a punch card. But why are hotel and airlines able to uniquely offer more value in their loyalty programs? And to understand that, we have to talk a little bit about the business of hotels and airlines. Now, the thing that's unique about these two businesses are they are very long-term, they're global businesses, they're very long-term, and they don't scale up or down easily. You can't simply buy new planes, create new hotel nights to capture additional demand that you think is coming next month. So what these businesses are doing is they are trying to maximize profit, and that means that they are overbuilding capacity in terms of airline seats, in terms of hotel rooms, that may go unsold during periods of seasonality, during periods of business cycle downturns, during global pandemics. And since this capacity goes unsold, they can give it away for next to nothing to customers that they think are loyal, valuable customers. And that is really the secret to getting high-value luxury travel rewards out of these programs. Another thing I want to talk about before we get started is if you want to do travel hacking, it involves credit cards. And now, if you are in this room and you are carrying a balance on your credit card, I want you to know that you should stay here and you should understand what may be possible in the future. But any travel rewards that you get are going to be dwarfed by any interest that you are paying on credit cards if you carry a balance. And I am very conscious that I do not want to get people chasing after travel rewards and then getting into credit card debt. So if you are carrying credit card debt right now, come talk to me after the session. I can give you some pointers that can help you figure out ways you can reduce interest on that. I want to help you get out of credit card debt. It's not the topic of the session, but I'm happy to chat afterwards. So please come see me if that is you. And needless to say, all of this is, if you do not carry balances on your credit cards if you can avoid that. The other thing that I want to talk about is that this is a heavily marketed space. There are thousands of travel influencers who are constantly posting photos of them in luxury hotel rooms and on these glorious first-class airline cabins where they're taking a shower on the plane. And what you have to know about a lot of that content is that many of those influencers are comped the airline tickets and the hotel stays, and they are using them and presenting them as if they booked those travel rewards, but that's ultimately a fantasy. And they're trying to sell credit cards. This is a big business. You get paid a lot of money for selling credit cards. Everything in this presentation that I'm going to show you today is stuff that I have actually done with points that I have actually earned through loyalty programs, and not anything that has been comped by a travel company. So, and this is stuff that you can actually use on your own as well. So let's talk a little bit about what's possible before we get into the how-to. And this is kind of our reality check, because, well, this was my free lunch on Friday at the Minneapolis airport in the PGA lounge. And I do want to tell you that there is no such thing as a free lunch, right? Because even though I didn't immediately pay for this, well, I kind of did because they only discounted it $15. And I pay for a credit card that gets me into that lounge, that gets me that lunch, right? So there is no free lunch here, but there can be a highly discounted lunch. And the second thing I want to say about what's possible is that there are many roads to travel rewards that you can take. Some of them require a lot of effort and time. Some of them can be pretty easy, quick wins. And the further you go up the luxury ladder, the more time and effort that you are going to have to spend in pursuing travel rewards and collecting points and figuring out how to use loyalty programs. But for a lot of people, easily bookable travel rewards are an excellent sweet spot, and you can get a lot of value out of loyalty programs without putting in too much effort or becoming an expert. So the next thing that I want to talk about is what I do. So I'll talk about Delta. We all live in, well, I assume most of us live in the Minneapolis area. Delta is the biggest air carrier out of Minneapolis. And for us, it's probably a highly relevant program. And for me, Delta is about 90% of my travel. And I love to talk about Delta. Because miles and points experts hate this program. Because one of those tweets is just from this week. They hate this program because Delta has taken all of the ability to earn international business class awards out of their program. It's completely useless for something like that. But for what I do, most of my travel is domestic, and I can get 90% of my travel needs met by this one program that everybody says doesn't have any value. I also like it because it's, am I cutting out on here? Okay, so I'm gonna ditch this microphone and just speak a little bit louder so that I'm not cutting in and out.
I can give you the sky.
Okay.
If you want to stay put more, if you don't, I understand.
I like to dance around, so okay. I'm good.
Sounds good.
Okay, so I will speak up. So as long as you're getting the audio, we should be good. So Sky Miles is one program that is really great to play in easy mode. And just looking for what was available yesterday as I was finalizing my slides, I found this credit card offer that can give me 75,000 Sky Miles after spending $2,000 within 6 months. That's very achievable. The credit card doesn't have an annual fee for the first year. And I decided, okay, let's just pick something out of the air that I want to do with those miles. So I searched for awards to Orlando in October and November when it might start to snow here. And I found that I can probably go to Orlando 4 times or 5 times just from that one credit card sign-up bonus. So that doesn't take a lot of effort to get a credit card, bank the miles, and then book on Delta's website. But there could be a lot of value out of there. And a lot of people would just pan this program as worthless because they can't get in an international business class cabin. I also like Delta because it offers companion certificates. Now, if you are a solo traveler, this isn't as relevant. But if you have a family, if you have a partner, you may want to be taking trips with somebody else. And Delta is a program that has easily usable companion certificates. And here's how I used mine for a trip earlier this year. I saved $228 that I would have paid out of pocket for an airline ticket. And that almost covered the credit card that gave me this benefit. That almost covered the annual fee of the credit card that gave me this benefit. Plus, out of that credit card, I'm getting a whole bunch of other benefits that more than compensate for the annual fee that I'm paying for. But a lot of you probably are excited about international business class travel. So let's talk about some of the things that I have done with that. Now, all of these things are pretty easy to book. You don't need any specialized knowledge. But these are things I've actually booked in the last 3 years. So my girlfriend and I just took a 2-week trip to Australia. On the way out, we went on Delta on the way out. But on the way back, we found availability for business class travel on Qantas, which was fantastic. I mean, these seats that we're sitting in are giant. They lie flat. There were plated dinners. The service was excellent. And when you can get 8 or 9 hours of good sleep on a 16-hour flight, that's amazing. And the cost was $92 plus about the number of miles that you would earn from signing up for an American Airlines loyalty credit card. We also went to Germany for Oktoberfest. And on the way back, we found last-minute business class in Lufthansa, once again, for about that same amount of miles, and sat in a lie-flat seat, and were served by perhaps the most exuberant flight attendant who works at Lufthansa. And it was a great experience, right? And so we could have spent 9 hours sitting crammed in coach, being miserable, but for the cost of one credit card, we used Avianca Life Miles to book this ticket. Air France KLM Flying Blue. Now, this picture is me sitting in business class on the way to Europe a week before COVID closed global air travel down. So I'm very fortunate to have gotten the return flight out of Europe when I did. But the thing that I love about this program is it offers, they publish monthly award specials that allow you to book insanely cheap business class tickets between Europe and the United States, and insanely cheap coach tickets between Europe and the United States. So right now, through the end of the month, they are actually publishing 18,750 mile tickets, which in terms of number of credit cards that you might have to sign up for, that's about 1/4 of a credit card between Europe. So if you're thinking about taking your family to Europe, this can be a great option for you. And this is an option that I use all the time. Other things that I've done, my girlfriend and I booked a fully cancelable ski vacation to Steamboat Springs before we knew that there was going to be snow. Because we used miles and points, we could cancel our reservations and get everything back if it didn't snow. Fortunately, it did. We were there. I was down on the bunny hills getting some of the best ski instruction in the world. She was up destroying fresh powder on the black diamonds at the top of the mountain, and then would do 1 or 2 bunny hill runs with me at the end of the day. It was fantastic, and I learned to ski out in Steamboat Springs for well under $1,000 cash cost all in, which is pretty incredible. Miles and points have gotten me out of sticky situations. So if you're following the situation in Sudan, at the beginning of about a year and a half ago, I was traveling in Sudan, And the military took over the government, closed down the airport, the embassy got evacuated, and we had to hunker down for about 3 days. So when the airport opened up, my friends and I decided we needed a ticket anywhere not Sudan, and that ended up being Istanbul. So I ended up in Istanbul against my plans. Miles got me home for cheap. And then I've used hotel rewards like Marriott certificates to stay free at hotels. And these are hotel stays that I would have otherwise paid $1,500 total from the certificates I got from one credit card. So that's what's possible, and all of those things that I just showed you are things that are easy, are rewards that come from programs that are easy to understand and use. So what are the basics of how travel rewards work? Well, simply you earn them and you spend them, right? But the details are pretty important. So how do you earn these points? I mentioned this before, but the vast majority of people will earn travel rewards points from credit card sign-up bonuses. Now, all the caveats about paying off your credit cards, we already mentioned. But one of the things that I want to mention is some of these bonuses require a large amount of spending on your credit card. So I chose this example because it requires you to spend $15,000 in purchases within the first 3 months. I imagine for most people in this room, that is not a realistic amount of spending to be putting on a credit card. That's probably not your monthly budget. So the biggest caveats to earning miles this way, I'd say, are make sure that you are paying off your credit cards every month, and make sure that you can meet these spending bonus requirements, because if you don't, you're not going to get the bonus, and it would kind of suck to sign up for a credit card, maybe pay an annual fee, and then not get to travel afterward. So before you start signing up for credit cards, make sure that you can earn the welcome bonuses. Another way that people earn travel points and loyalty points is through brand loyalty. Now, do we have any people who travel for work in the audience? Okay, so we've got a few. And if you travel frequently for work, this is probably an option for you. If you are staying at the same brand of hotels, if you're flying the same airline, you can earn points when you are loyal to those programs. And all of these programs offer some sort of status where if you're flying them, if you're staying often, they'll give you more and more points as you stay more and more often. But I like to point out about that strategy is make sure that you're not paying more to be loyal to a program and go after points than you're getting in benefits. Remember, these programs are meant to incentivize you to be a profitable customer for these brands, not necessarily to give you just generous rewards. Other ways to accumulate points, natural spending. You don't have to sign up for a bunch of credit cards. You can just put your natural spending on a credit card and slowly earn points over time. There are more advanced ways of generating points, including manufactured spending, which involves buying gift cards or cash equivalents and figuring out a way to turn those into bank deposits. Some people engage with buyers groups, which are resellers that have you source product and then they pay you for that. Some people get into gift card reselling. But with all of these things, make sure that you're aware of the risks, because if you're shipping dozens of iPads to somebody over the internet that you've never met before and probably aren't able to sue, if they just go poof on you, that could really hurt. And I know people that has happened to. And that risk is why I don't do a lot of these things. Or if I do, I'm very careful about who I'm engaging as a partner. So those are the big ways that you accumulate points. But let's talk about spending them. Credit card rewards and travel rewards come in different forms. And even if you're thinking about travel, don't forget about cashback rewards. And I put this up here because if you are seeking travel rewards, sometimes you're giving up better opportunities to earn or spend on cash back. And I'll give you an example. I have a lot of friends who really like Delta Airlines. So they swipe that Delta credit card for absolutely everything. And the points that they're getting are probably, they're getting 1 point per dollar. And those points are probably worth about 1.2 cents each toward Delta travel. Well, that's great, but they could be spending that money on a credit card with no annual fee that gives them 2% back as cash on all of those purchases. So always compare the rewards that you get to the cash back options when you're trying to figure out which credit cards to spend money on. Some credit cards offer cash credit toward travel or travel credits. And this can be a way to increase the value of the points that you've earned. An example of this is the Chase Ultimate Rewards program. Gives you additional value if you use the points for travel. So if I take 10,000 Chase points and cash them out as cash back, they're worth $100. That's great. If I take those points and book a trip through the Chase Ultimate Rewards travel portal, now they're worth $125 or $150, depending on which credit card I have. So these travel credits can be a great way of increasing the value of your points. Frequent flyer miles, you can redeem rewards for flights. Two things to think about when you're redeeming for flights. There are two ways that airlines price their flight rewards. Some price them dynamically, and some price them with award charts. Dynamically priced programs are programs like Delta, United, American Southwest, the airlines that you've heard of. And these point prices are tagged to the cash price of the tickets. The upside is that generally programs that do this give you more options. They have more flights available. But the downside is that you're not likely to get outsized value from your points using these programs. On the other hand, some airlines, mostly international airlines, price awards by an award chart. And the details of that aren't important, but they have fixed prices for flights between certain regions, but they're not always available. So the downside is that you can't always get the flight that you want, but the upside is that you can sometimes get outsized value for your points. And then hotels are largely priced the same way. I'm not going to jump into that too deeply. So which program should you care about if you're just getting started? And really this comes down to what you want to get out of travel rewards. And you should define this. You should do some thinking about what is really important to you. And I have 3 personas up on the screen. One of these might fit you. You may be some combination of these. You may have your own value calculation. But the bigger, and I've been each one of these personas at one point in my life. But the big point is make sure that the rewards that you're going after fit the rewards that you value. And so, because these programs are good at different things. And we talked about Delta SkyMiles. We talked about Flying Blue. And just to kind of keep on time, I'm not going to dive into either of these. But this is a slide to take a photo of. So if you want low effort economy travel and you're MSP based, here are the programs that I like to recommend. So first of all, Delta SkyMiles, really easy to use, plenty of opportunities to earn miles. Air France, KLM Flying Blue, they have those promotional awards that they release every month. Those are great to use for economy trips to Europe. Marriott Bonvoy and IHG. You're not going to get incredible value out of those programs most of the time, but they have hotels absolutely everywhere. And both of them have a 4th or 5th night free benefit with one of their loyalty credit cards. And then World of Hyatt. Hyatt is a hotel chain. They don't have as many properties as the big boys, but they offer excellent low-end values. I probably stayed in probably most of my Hyatt stays have been cheap airport hotels that have cost like 2,000 points a night. If you are looking for medium effort luxury travel and you're MSP based, here are the programs that you want to watch. Avianca Life Miles has a reputation for having horrible customer service, but it has a relatively easy to book business class awards. The website has gotten usable enough. I have gotten awards out of Avianca Life Miles. And has anybody actually used Life Miles to book any travel? Okay, so Air France, KLM Flying Blue, they publish great economy promotional fares. They publish great business class promotional fares. Air Canada Aeroplan. I think 2 years ago, they revamped their program and their website. This website is an incredible tool to use. Just searching yesterday to see what I could find. I've never booked an award through them, but yesterday I was able to find business class tickets to Europe in about 5 minutes using their site. So that was a win. American Airlines Advantage. Not great for domestic awards, but some really good partner awards, like the trip that we took on Qantas for 70,000 miles. And then World of Hyatt has great values at the higher end of their properties as well, because they price using an award chart. But the programs that everybody should pay attention to are the transferable point programs. And these are up on the screen. So these are sponsored by banks. And in all of these programs, you can earn reward points that, and many times can be used for cash back, many times can be used directly for travel bookings through a travel agency, and can be transferred to airline and hotel programs. So let's say that you have decided that you really like the idea of spending your time in luxury hotels with Hyatt. Well, you can earn Hyatt points, or you can earn Chase Ultimate Rewards points. And not only can you transfer them to Hyatt, but you can transfer them to all of these airlines. So any award that's available on any of these airlines becomes available to you because you have these points that have option value. And so if you're collecting points, really these transferable point programs are the sweet spots. So let's see, how am I doing for time? When do we end here? 11:05. Okay, so we're on track. Okay, so how to get started tactically. I mentioned defining what you want. Like, define what you want to get out of travel rewards, and keep that in mind as you're developing a list of programs that you are interested in learning about. And know that higher end luxury programs are going to require more points and more effort. When you get started, don't try to learn everything about every program. It'll be overwhelming. Pick one or two relevant programs to focus on and learn those really well. Don't apply for a bunch of credit cards. Apply for one credit card. Get the points from that credit card. Learn how sign-up bonuses work. And then use those points and get yourself some travel before you rinse and repeat this process. I have way too many friends in the travel hacking space that literally have millions of points in their account that they have never used. And they're giving up a lot of value in spending money on these credit cards when they could be earning cash back. And now they have millions and millions of points that they haven't used. They're not getting the value out of those travel rewards. Don't be the person who banks millions of points. I don't want anybody in this room to have more than 1 million points in the bank. I want you traveling and on planes, please. So a couple of recommendations about where to get started. I mentioned before, if you're in Minneapolis, Delta SkyMiles is a great place to start and learn how loyalty programs work. I like it. I like Delta because they have easy redemptions in coach. They have some really low-cost credit cards that you can get a lot of points for by signing up, and your miles don't expire. So I mentioned this 75,000 point offer before. You can see how much travel that can give you. That can probably get you a few trips with just one credit card, and this credit card doesn't have an annual fee for the first year. So you could sign up for it, and after the first year decide that it's no longer worth keeping and cancel it. So another good place to start is Chase Ultimate Rewards. So this is the transferable point program that I mentioned before, and it's debatable whether Chase offers the best rewards for luxury travel, but it certainly offers a number of travel partners that are easy to use if you're in the United States. You can transfer these to Southwest, you can transfer these to United Airlines, you can transfer Ultimate Rewards to Hyatt. All of those programs are easy to use and will provide plenty of value. Plus, you can use the points directly for travel bookings with Chase for more than 1 cent a piece. This card has a $95 annual fee, and it currently has an 80,000 point sign-up bonus that just released to the blogger networks yesterday. Another one that you might want to consider, especially if you have family that you're traveling with, is the Capital One Venture X card. Now this card has about a $400 annual fee, but I have this card, and the way that I get value out of this card is through the annual travel credit and the annual points bonus. So every year I get a $300 annual travel credit that I can use for flights. It's easy to use. I get 10,000 points that I can use to offset my travel purchases. So I get about $400 of cash-ish value every year. But this card also gives me lounge access to the Priority Pass Lounge where I got my free lunch. And so when my girlfriend and I are traveling with kids, we can use our Venture X cards to get the kids into this Priority Pass Lounge, and everyone gets a $15 restaurant credit, and kids' cheeseburgers are about $8, which means that we can have a nice meal, kids can get fed, and every time we go to the airport, we're displacing cash that we would otherwise spend on meals or overhead that we would otherwise spend packing meals with this credit card benefit. And when you're talking 5 people, that value can add up really quickly. So we're going to open it up for questions in just a little bit. Like I said, I tried to keep this pretty high level and pretty beginner friendly. So let's talk about where you get your information. Now the sites on the screen are Frequent Miler, Doctor of Credit, and cardsandpoints.com. Cardsandpoints.com is me, so definitely check that one out. A little biased, but Frequent Miler and Doctor of Credit I really like because they both have good information and they are willing to promote welcome bonuses that they do not get paid for. So one of the things that you need to watch out for in this space, whether you're following travel influencers or whether you're just Googling around, is everybody publishing in this space makes money off of credit card signups. Like, I do that on my site. These places do this on their site. Places like Wall Street Journal, Time, Forbes, they monetize credit card affiliate links. Some outlets are willing to publish better bonuses that they do not get paid on, whereas some outlets will only publish a bonus that they're going to earn a fat sign-up, fat bonus on. So until recently, I mentioned the Chase Sapphire Preferred bonus. Before yesterday, the affiliate bonus was only 60,000 points. But you could get a 90,000 point bonus by going into a Chase branch. Doctor of Credit and Frequent Miler were promoting this 90,000 point bonus that they didn't get paid for. A lot of the other sites simply told you that the best available offer was 60,000 points. So the point on this side is be deliberate about where you get your information, because where you get your information can definitely impact how much value you can get from credit card rewards. I like these sites for the reasons on the screen. Cards and Points, I'm still working on building it out. I'm trying to make that a more beginner-friendly resource. So we're at 8:53 right now, which means, when does the session end? 11:05. So that means we've got a little over 10 minutes for questions. So first of all, thank you for coming to my presentation. I really enjoyed. I enjoy sharing this with people. But now it's time, pepper me with questions. Happy to answer anything. So yes.
Are you familiar with how credit card or not credit scores are created?
Yeah. So
how does for the Sky Miles one, you said you cancel it maybe after a year. That does usually ding your credit score, doesn't it?
Okay. So the question was, how does all of this impact your credit score? And your credit score is calculated primarily by your on-time payment history and by the amount of available credit versus the credit that you are using. And when you're applying for credit cards, getting people accessing your credit and querying your credit report, that has a minor negative hit to your credit score. When you open a new credit card, that might have a little bit of a minor negative hit to your credit score because you are reducing the average account age of your credit cards. It probably has a positive impact. Over the long term, it has a much more positive impact because you are increasing the amount of credit that is available to you. If you close that credit line, that decreases the amount of credit available to you, but there's a way around that. And a lot of these credit cards, you can call and convert to a no annual fee credit card and keep your credit line reporting. So the Chase Sapphire Preferred card, for example, let's say you get that, you cash the sign-up bonus, and then you decide the other benefits aren't worth paying the annual fee. You can call Chase up and convert this to a credit card called a Freedom Unlimited, which the details aren't important, but it has no annual fee. You'll keep your credit line. It'll continue to report, and that's how you can keep the positive impact from that credit line without paying the annual fee. Does that answer your question? Okay, excellent. So I'm going to go right here. Yeah.
What is your take on booking through like a third-party website, Expedia? Because sometimes you get much cheaper tickets than booking directly with like Delta. But then, do you also not earn like points through these Expedia like third-party websites?
So third-party websites are a little bit complicated. Generally, I would say third-party websites are fine until something goes wrong. Like your flight out of Khartoum gets canceled abruptly and you're trying to get a refund. I think it took me 4 or 5 months to get a refund from Expedia on that. Whereas if I would have booked it directly, the process would have been much, much easier. For airlines, when you book through third-party sites like Expedia, where you see the actual flights and the prices, you will earn frequent flyer miles for those bookings. If you book hotels through third-party sites, you are not going to earn loyalty points for those bookings. But the point about make sure that you're not giving up rewards to stay loyal. If you're getting a 30% discount on a hotel room from a third-party site, the points that you would otherwise earn are at most going to be a 15% rebate. So it can definitely be worth it to use these third-party sites. But so Cliff's Notes, if things change, they can be a pain. Airlines generally will award you points. Hotels generally will not.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Sounds good, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Way in the back.
How many credit cards do you currently have, and how many have you?
So how many credit cards I currently have? A lot. And just like the number of articles that I've written in the last 20 years that I've been doing this, the number of credit cards open and closed is definitely a 3-digit number. So we're going to go right here.
Me?
Yes.
So you mentioned about the KLM promotion, the
Uh-huh.
10,000, etc. What's the best way? Because since most of us are in the US, we typically tend to have Delta, United, American miles.
Mm-hmm.
How do we get to the KLM? Do we need to open KLM, like loyalty membership, and then earn the credit card points through them?
So that is an excellent question. That is certainly an option. But for most people, you're not going to use these international airline programs terribly often. So that is where we go back to the transferable point programs, right? Instead of earning KLM points, you earn points in these programs that you transfer to KLM when there's a redemption opportunity that you want to take advantage of. And of these programs, I think that all of the membership rewards, thank you points, Capital One points isn't up here. Those all transfer to KLM. Pretty sure Chase Ultimate Rewards does not. I don't think that Bilt does. But yeah, earn the transferable points and then transfer them to these airlines when you're ready to book an award.
Yeah, especially Delta is pathetic in giving any partner, unlike United. United is a lot more better in terms
Yeah.
of like the Singapore Airlines and so on.
Yeah, Delta, if we wanted to go to Australia business class, it would cost us 800,000 points on Delta on a good day.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So this
Oh,
one more.
okay.
The Qantas one that you gave example, so did you book that through American Airlines, you said? Or?
We booked that through American Airlines. So, okay, so there was, yes.
My wife and I have Delta Sky Miles.
Okay.
We've been using those rewards a lot, but we're looking to do more like international travel. And we don't really care about super high-end luxury stuff. What would be a good next step?
So where are you? So the question was, we have Delta Sky Miles. We're looking to do more international travel. Not really interested in super high-end luxury. What's the next step? Where are you interested in going? Into Europe. So I would say start looking at KLM Flying Blue promotional awards If you Google for like KLM promo awards, you'll see that there's a list that they release the first day of every month of discounted awards to destinations. All of those contemplate Europe to that destination. So when they publish Minneapolis as one of their promo awards, those awards are available between Minneapolis and Europe. And then when you see a city on that list, start looking for flights through the KLM website for those destinations during the times that they give you. And that's where you're going to find incredible values of rewards. And to get those points, Amex membership rewards, city thank you points, if you look for ways to earn points in those programs, those will transfer to KLM. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Yes?
One question about devaluation, because inflation is a real thing somewhat. And so did you notice any devaluation of airline points in the recent year? Is that related with inflation, or
Okay, so
of any ongoing things there?
So a question of devaluation of airline points. And this is something that happens with these programs, right? Like these programs accumulate debts to their customers of billions and billions of points, and it can be really easy to decrease the value that you can get from those points. So that's why I say don't hold on to millions and millions of points. Like get them, spend them. In the recent year, there have been a couple of things that have happened. Hyatt has changed the hotels that are available in each category. So they'll say, okay, these hotels are more expensive, so now instead of a category 1, which is the lowest tier pricing, they're a category 2 or 3, right? That's one thing that happens periodically. It happens all the time. Delta recently released a benefit for their credit card holders of where you could take 15% off the award prices. I haven't done extensive research on this, but my feeling is that they've actually decreased the value you can get from the awards if you don't have a credit card and just made it the same after that 15% for the credit card holders. So, so programs will devalue their award points, so don't hold on to them. Make sure that you're spending them. Let's see. So we said 10 after was the 5 after. Okay, yes.
Okay, hypothetically, let's say you don't have enough points and you're going to do a domestic flight. Are you willing to pay the extra $200 to do Delta versus a competitor? Just does Delta have an extra great program that you would be willing to pay more for the flight?
So does Delta have an extra great program that I would be willing to pay more for the flight to earn the points? Absolutely not. But I do have elite status with Delta because I travel a lot for work. And there is some value in me booking with Delta with that because if something cancels, they're going to handle me better than they would kind of your average customer off the street. I get free check bags. I am on team check bags 100%. If somebody else can drag my stuff through the airport for me for free, yes, take my stuff, please. And then Delta also allows me to do some fun stuff with they have some fun things with their change fees and their same day. I'll show you the same day changes thing because I pulled this out of the presentation, but this is one of the things I love to do with Delta. So here's their same day change program. So I have status, so I can same day confirmed on different flights for free if they're available, right? So what I will do a lot of times is that if I have some flexibility, I will book the cheapest flight of the day and the last flight that I could logically be on. And then when the day of travel comes, I will same day change the cheap flight to the flight that I actually want to take. So I did this at a conference a couple of months ago. I booked a 6 a.m. flight and an 8 p.m. flight. I didn't want to take that 6 a.m. flight, but I was able to same day change that to a 4 p.m. flight. And then a little bit later, the 6 p.m. flight opened up and I could change that 6 p.m. flight. And just for purposes of demonstration, that flight cost like 6,000 miles. The 9 p.m. flight that I had booked as my backup cost me 15,000 miles. But I was able to same day change the cheap ticket onto a flight that I actually wanted. So there's some value in Delta for me doing stuff like this. The fun part of this, the really fun part of this story is after they let me get on this flight and confirm onto it, they then oversold it and paid me $400 to get off the flight and take the 9 p.m. flight. So that was a huge win. So, but does that kind of give you an answer?
I never know if I should pay the extra amount.
Yeah. So I will also say value airlines like also Sun Country, Southwest, these airlines do not, Allegiant, these airlines don't have what are called interline agreements with other carriers. So if something happens and your flight is canceled, Delta, if they want to, they can put you on American, they can put you on United, they can put you on Alaska Airlines. These smaller carriers don't have the ability to do that. So if there's not an Allegiant flight for the next 4 days to your destination, you could be in a real bad situation. Or if you're in Mexico and Sun Country cancels the last flight of the season, which actually happened, they gave people a refund and said, okay, here's your $200. Good luck getting back from Mexico. So we got time for one more question. I'm going to go for you. Yeah.
With hers about the extra money for Delta, the other angle of that would be if it's near the end of the year and you're on the cusp of a status increase.
Yeah.
It might be worth paying a little extra to go from gold to.
Yeah, sometimes
Right.
it can be worthwhile to move your flights around to go after that elite status
Especially depending on your plans for the next year.
if you're flying a lot. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I'm going to cut it off there. Thank you so much for coming. Really appreciate it. I'll be up here for a few minutes, and then we can continue conversations outside too.